If you're planning on traveling to Washington, D.C. this winter, I've got a whole lot of important travel updates for you. But first, hello! My name is Rob. I'm a tour guide and founder of Trip Hacks DC Tours. On this channel, I share my best tips, tricks, and travel hacks for visitors who want to explore Washington, D.C. Probably the biggest and most exciting news happening right now is that after a one-year hiatus, giant pandas are back in Washington, D.C. Two giant pandas traveled all the way from China and arrived in October at the National Zoo. However, they do need some time to get acclimated, so their public debut is not until January 24th. There is a special preview starting on January 10th for National Zoo members. So keep that in mind if you're a zoo member or want to become one for the early access. In the meantime, Zoo Lights is back for another season. Tickets to this event are $6. Same price as last year, and honestly, a pretty good value for what you get. Zoo Lights runs mostly on weekends, so make sure to check out the official website for dates, times, and tickets. If you like ice skating, all of the major outdoor rinks are back this year. This includes the National Gallery of Art, Georgetown, the Wharf, and Capitol Riverfront. If you're curious, I made a short video giving my opinion about all four of these options. So check out the description for that link. This year, there will also be a new indoor ice skating rink at the National Building Museum. It will have more limited dates than the outdoor rinks and will be open from December 16th through January 4th. The National Building Museum is a really cool space, and even if you're not that into ice skating, could still be worth checking out. If you're going to be in Washington, D.C. between now and Christmas and want to do some holiday shopping, the big news is that this year there is not one, but two holiday markets. Long story short, the vendor that used to operate the downtown holiday market near the National Portrait Gallery is moving their market to DuPont Circle, and a new vendor will be running the downtown market, which is on F Street Northwest between 7th and 9th. The downtown market will run through December 23rd. However, the DuPont Circle market is scheduled to close earlier on December 15th. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but if you're curious about how we wound up with two competing holiday markets, Washingtonian Magazine has a good article explaining it. An important update about Trip Hacks DC is that this is going to be the last video you're going to see from me in a while. I am closing Trip Hacks DC for the rest of the winter, including this YouTube channel, the Trip Hacks DC podcast, and Trip Hacks DC Tours. My hope is to bring everything back next March 2025. An exciting opening is that the People's House is now open at 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. The People's House is an interactive museum where you can go and explore all of the rooms inside the White House. You can sit in on a historic cabinet meeting. You can attend a fancy plated dinner in the state dining room. And yes, you can even sit behind the desk in the full-scale replica of the Oval Office. Free tickets are required, and there is a suggested donation. This museum is run by the White House Historical Association, which is a private, nonprofit organization. It is not part of the government or affiliated with the presidential administration. If you check it out, let me know what you think. Or if you want my hot take about whether I think it's better than the actual White House tour, leave a comment, and after my break, if enough people are interested, maybe I'll make a video on that topic. Another exciting opening is Quill and Crumb, the cafe at the Folger Shakespeare Library. The library itself opened several months ago, but the cafe is new and so far has been getting very positive reviews. In closing news, The Crystal City Underground is closing all of its retail shops by the end of the year. If you've never experienced it before, the Underground was kind of like a pseudo mall with stores in these tunnels that connect lots of office buildings and hotels and other buildings in Crystal City. And to be clear, the tunnels will remain open, but the shops are closing. I'm still in the process of evaluating whether I want to keep Crystal City in my where to stay guide. But in the meantime, if you choose a hotel there, just know it's going to be a little different. Next, let's talk about a few major renovations I think you should know about. Most notably, because it's on my tour, the Lincoln Memorial will continue its renovation through 2026. They are building out a huge interactive museum in the Undercroft area of the memorial. Don't worry, you can still come and see the statue of Lincoln, but it is going to look a little bit different from the outside. If you're more into George Washington, unfortunately, the next several months are going to be a bit rough at Mount Vernon. Phase 2 of the mansion renovation is happening now through January 2025. And as you can see, the majority of the mansion, colored here in red, will be off limits. Phase 3 of the renovation will happen February through October 2025, and the mansion will be similarly restricted. On the National Mall, work is progressing at the Air and Space Museum, but it is still only about half reopened and does require tickets. So make sure to get your tickets in advance and set your expectations accordingly. Next, let's address a few important transportation updates. This, unfortunately, is the last month for the Circulator bus. Circulator began winding down in October, and by the end of 2024, will be gone. This is a bit of a gut punch for me personally, as I have used Circulator extensively over the last several years, and my life will be a little bit worse without it. For tourists, this means there will no longer be an inexpensive public bus option for the National Mall. There are still the big corporate tour buses, but they are much more expensive than Circulator ever was. As of the time I'm recording this, there is no planned replacement for the National Mall Circulator route. But if one eventually happens, I will certainly include that information in an upcoming tourism update video. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss anything. The last 10 days of December will be a bit rough on Metro, specifically the orange, blue, and silver lines. Between December 20th and 26th, there will be a gap in Metro service between Foggy Bottom and Metro Center. And between December 27th and 30th, there will be a gap in service between Foggy Bottom and Federal Center Southwest. During this time, Metro will run shuttle buses to connect the closed stations. However, if you can plan around these closures, that's going to be your best option. The reason this is happening at the very end of December is because a lot of locals take time off from work around the winter holidays. And ridership is historically about 40% lower than the rest of the year. So it's bad timing if that's when you're going to be in DC, but ultimately this is designed to be minimally disruptive. And if you're coming to DC in December and curious what it's like around here during the holidays, I have an entire video about things you can do in DC at this time of year. Just go ahead and click or tap right over here and check that one out next. See you sometime in 2025.